Are you looking for some tools to help you with your small business or maybe your freelance career? Well, I got this question from one of you subscribers asking, as a business owner, what tools do you reference to remain organized both financially and structurally? So I'm going to break it down. But before we do, I'm Logan Clements. I'm a freelance event producer based in Seattle, Washington, but I execute events here and all over the world. I do want to remind you to like, subscribe, turn on that little notification bell so you get notified every single Monday when I drop new videos. I'm also the co-host of the Better Events podcast with fellow event pro Mary Davidson. We dive even more in depth into some of these topics that I talk about here on the podcast, including tips for small business owners. One of my personal favorites was where we dove into our finances as small business owners. And we have all kinds of fun tips and tricks over there. So listen wherever you listen to podcasts. So subscriber, this was a great question. I think this is something that I wish I would have found when I first started my business. I'm coming up on 8 years of working for myself. If you know me, my running joke is that it is the longest job that I've ever had of being self-employed. And I did not start my business with the intention that I would be an entrepreneur and work for myself for as long as I've continued. But these are just a couple tips, both tools like platforms that I use, as well as a couple other best practices that I'm going to hopefully help you save some time in the future. So my first one is QuickBooks or any accounting software. I guess I'm not wedded to QuickBooks. It was one when I first started my business that I started learning and getting into, and then I've just kind of stuck with it, that it's got some nice features. But any accounting software where you can link up your bank account and then just categorize different expenses, it's made tax time and me just personally understanding the financial side of my business so much clearer, way better than an Excel spreadsheet, because it runs reports for you. You can categorize things as different parts of, what's a reimbursable expense or a business expense come tax time. I also they have a project feature so I can build projects for my clients and then tag certain expenses for those projects. And then they're super easy to link into an invoice as an event person when I'm on site and have on-site costs. It's such a nice way that it makes it really easy for me to pull together an expenses invoice. It also lets me do estimates and turn those into invoices. So it's pretty seamless. It is increasing in pricing, which no one loves, but I will say I'm pretty wedded to it as of right now, but always looking for different accounting softwares. And my second tip kind of dovetails in with QuickBooks. Hire a bookkeeper for taxes. I got this from another business owner. I had maybe a couple years ago. I'd had one experience with a bookkeeper, tax planner for me that I got a little burned in. She was someone who I found through the QuickBooks online network. But my current bookkeeper, I've been working with her now for about 3 years and found her from another small business owner in the Washington State area. And they were having a really positive experience with her. And so she's a larger firm. It's a couple of people. It's not just one. And I love that because they each specialize in different things. And it has been the best decision I've made as a business owner. I've gone from being stressed and frantic at tax time to feeling very, very zen and confident that everything I'm filing makes sense. They help me with my quarterly estimated tax payments, and they're available to ask just the random one-off questions. I do a lot of international events that I feel have their own questions that come with it. So it's been really helpful. This is the first thing I outsourced. And if you were a business owner and don't outsource this, I would highly recommend looking into it. I also love Toggl, Toggl. This is a time tracking tool. I use the free version of it. You can pay for it as well. But I use this to track my time. I got into it because a client wanted me to do it. And I started using it for them. I used to have an old Google sheet. That was how I tracked my time, with a lot of formulas and different, spreadsheets and things that help me keep track of where my time went. And Toggl blew me out of the water because, again, it pulls those reports for you. And so some days I'm really good with tracking my time down to this minute. Other days I just go back and kind of based on my calendar and what I know I got done, I very loosely try to capture my time. And this has been really helpful for me just to improve my estimate process of when I estimate to clients how long events might take or how many meetings I was in. All of that, the time tracking just kind of holds me accountable to then compare that at the end of the year to what I estimated. And it's also helpful. I haven't had a client in a while, but I did have it for a period of time, ones that really wanted to know, okay, how many hours did you spend this month, and some of it was based on actuals. And that was just a really easy tool. So I'm sure the paid version has some more features and bells and whistles, but I just use the free version. My second to last tool for you here as a small business owner is Calendly. I will caveat knowing I heard, because we're recording this in July 2024, that there is a new Google Calendar upgrade or update that might have some of these features, but Calendly has been my favorite. It seems very affordable for what it does. It allows you to create a calendar booking link. And the free version, you just get one link. I pay for it. And so I have, I think, up to 3 or 4 links. And this is something that I have both on my website as a free 20 minutes for someone to book a phone call with me. And I have a couple internal links that I use for scheduling, tech checks with speakers, or I have kind of like a virtual coffee link that I'll send some people. But the note here was the 20-minute call that I have on my website was something can't remember now even if I got that from someone else. I probably did. But I was blown away. I've had more people who book that 20-minute call and then book an event with me. So meaning a successful lead from my website that turns into a paying client, then my form that just says contact me. It's kind of, to me, seems counterintuitive, but it's just been interesting that more people want to hop on a live video call with me than just fill out my form on my website. So if you are a business owner and you don't already offer this, I can't really think of a service, mainly if you do products, maybe you don't want to do this, but if you offer some kind of service to your clients, having a free 20-minute booking, and again, it has everything in the form, their name, email address. You can put questions in there if you want. They can tick if they want a phone call or a Zoom call. It then automatically creates, you can link your Zoom in. They'll automatically make a Zoom meeting for you and send you both calendar invites. It's so beautiful. It has done away with a lot of the back and forth that I feel like I used to do for meetings. And it's made it really easy for me to just be able to follow up with people of like, yeah, here, put it on them just to book with you. So that's Calendly is a great tool. And my last tip for how I remained organized financially and structurally is I do annual retreats and CEO days. So that first one, that annual retreat, I'll link to the video that I dove a little more into that, but it is so important. And it's something that last year I felt like I didn't get in 2023, and I didn't do it early enough at the end of the year. My target is now doing it in November is really nice to kind of take time, like including like a night in a hotel by myself where all I'm doing is thinking about my business. And the next day, thinking about my business. I have some guiding questions I use. I go and reconcile what I made versus, yes, my time tracking of how much time I spent. I really dive into my financials, and I just give myself space to dream and think big thoughts and think more about my why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I found that I had to carve out that time because I'm so good at doing client work, and I would forget to do some of that like big thinking work that would help then make me do better client work, but just sometimes feels so insurmountable when you're really in the weeds. So not just spending time in the business, but on the business. So setting that retreat has been so helpful. And then on a smaller scale, I do CEO days. And these are now monthly that I do them. I can't honestly, with my schedule, I haven't been able to get a full day blocked off, which probably is just a poor reflection on me, but I have been able to do a half day, like 3-4 hours of, again, a smaller version of what I do annually of just sitting, thinking about what I want to do, what do I want to go after, am I happy, what do I want to stop doing, what do I want to start doing, like just thinking about, again, my business. And I now have learned a pro tip from a productivity book that I read was to set up backup slots because it is something that I'm only holding myself accountable to, so it's easy to cancel it. So I now set up every month at the end, like this was at the end of June, I picked 2 different days in July at the end of the month that I could do my CEO day for July. And then I made that now a habit. At the end of every CEO day, I schedule the next one. And that's been something that has been super helpful. Again, just to give myself like a little bit of a taste of that strategy and that reflectiveness. And I also have one of my to-dos, my CEO's days is like random to-dos, which are my random like business to-dos that I need to just get off my plate, but have been living on my to-do list for weeks. So hopefully that helped answer some of your questions about what are some tools that I use to stay on track, both financially and structurally as a small business owner. Maybe you have a new one for your list. As always, I'm Logan Clements. I'm a freelance event producer in Seattle, and I appreciate you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.